Have you ever wondered how it is that some singers are able to sing with such clear, strong tones? Well, one of the really important factors in being able to achieve that kind of clarity and strength in our vocal sound is a little something called compression. Now, you may have heard it referred to as glottal compression or vocal compression. And in today's lesson, I'm going to explain to you what compression means and give you an exercise that has a 3-part progression. It's one of my favorite exercises for helping singers develop this really important skill. Glottal compression refers to the vocal folds' resistance efforts to the air. When we want to make a sound, we draw the vocal folds together, and that creates a little bit of pressure underneath them. That pressure is really important. It's necessary to help those vocal folds start to vibrate so that we can make sound. Now, there are varying degrees of compression. If the vocal folds are presenting very little resistance to the exiting airflow, we're going to get more of an airy, breathy kind of sound. If, on the other hand, the vocal folds are presenting a lot of resistance to that exiting airflow, we're going to get more of a pressing together of the vocal folds, and that's going to create kind of a squeezed, possibly a harsh vocal sound. And in between those two extremes, we have all of these different degrees of glottal compression. We may call that vocal effort. That's the resistant efforts here at the glottal level, where the vocal folds are coming together. And glottal compression is really important in singing because it helps us to manage those pressures beneath the vocal folds, to manage the airflow past the vocal folds, and also to create the kinds of sounds that we want to create, to be able to create the quality as well as the loudness. The glottal compression exercise that I'm going to walk you through today is actually one that I've introduced in a previous video. However, we're going to add the progressions to it. And this is going to help you achieve a more balanced glottal compression. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start with a really energized hum. Just like you've seen something really good or smelled something really yummy. We want this to be a nice and energized hum. We want this feeling of energy being kind of here as opposed to the feeling of us pushing with our throat muscles. We don't want gripping in here, tensing in here. Can you hear the difference in the energy there? Hear the difference in the sound? And then we're going to add a little bit of what might be called a glottal stroke. You hear that little bit of a, we'll call it a gripping. At the onset. Right? We don't want to go A lot of singers will kind of take the easy route and they will add a little bit of an H before the onset of sound, before they say that sound. So they'll get a You hear that release of air before I actually make the sound? We don't want that. We want the sound to begin when the air begins flowing. And we want that little tiny bit of gripping. We're not always going to sing with this kind of really firm glottal onset, but this is a way of building some athleticism and some stamina into our singing. We don't want to always be singing in a way that's under-energized and easy. And when I say it shouldn't be easy, I mean that athleticism. I don't mean squeezing and pushing and straining. We want this little bit of an effort in resisting the air pressure. That's going to give you a really good, strong sound source signal. You don't necessarily have to be belting and singing really loudly to be able to have a good, strong sound source signal, but it will help you achieve that clarity and that strength in your sound. So the next thing that we're going to do is sing a mezzo staccato pattern, and we're going to use that that nice, hard sound. Now, what often happens as we get to that break in the voice, as the voice wants to switch vocal registers, we will get something like we'll get that air added in the sound. But we want to resist that temptation to make it easy on ourselves. Now, you don't want to necessarily go up super high in the scale unless you're able to achieve a degree of balance with this exercise, with this coordination. So here we want to make sure it's even if it switches registers. Hear that I'm actually in M2. I'm in a head voice coordination, but I'm still doing that little bit of a that little catching at the glottal level. And that means that I am maintaining a good glottal compression even as I switch registers. Now, when you're able to achieve a good, consistent glottal compression across all the notes throughout a good portion of your range, you're going to add a little something to this exercise. You're going to add a little descending scale. Now, I don't know if you can hear that, but what I am not doing is releasing that glottal compression as I walk down the 5-note scale. I'm not singing A lot of singers do that. They really release that and they kind of take it too easy on the way back down. I want you to maintain the same kind of glottal compression, the same vocal effort on every single note in the exercise. Now, when you're able to achieve a very good, consistent compression on every single note going up and going down with the hum, you're going to then add a vowel sound, and you're going to use the as your foundation to set things up for the vowel. And just like with the descending pattern on the hum, you want to make sure that you're not wimping out. You want to make sure that you're not releasing that compression and singing it in a way that is just, we'll say, lazy, because it's easier to do so. You want to maintain that vocal athleticism. It's going to take time to develop the strength and endurance. All right, so let's add that vowel sound. Now notice how I didn't sing and I didn't release that compression on the way down, which is a really common habit with singers. Instead, I maintained the same degree of compression. And that's really important for developing a consistency when you want that consistency, but also for developing that strength and endurance. All right, I really hope you enjoy working through this exercise. As I stated earlier, it's one of my very favorite exercises for developing the skill of balanced glottal compression in singers. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you're looking for some more individualized, personalized training, I do teach private singing lessons both online and in studio. I also have SingWise Academy where you can learn in sort of a group setting. I do provide individualized feedback as well as private lessons through SingWise Academy. And I will be more than happy to answer any of your questions via email at Karyn@singwise.com. That's Karyn@singwise.com. Please let me know how I can personally assist you in achieving your singing goals. Thank you so much for watching.